In Tape 19, we'll be continuing our work with decimals. We'll be raising decimal numbers to powers, and we'll be using our rule for order of operations to solve problems that involve decimal numbers and more than one operation, like maybe adding and multiplying. Also, our problems might have powers in them and parentheses. As you watch the tape, take careful notes. If you don't understand a concept or you feel that you need some help, stop the tape and find a tutor. Let's begin with raising decimal numbers to powers. Let's first raise 3/10 to the third power, or we could say we want to cube 3/10. Well, as you remember, when we raise to a power, we multiply the base by itself as many times as we have the exponent, or we use the base as a factor, in this case 3 times. So we want to multiply 3/10 by itself 3 times. So let's write that down. Here I've written 3/10 times itself 3 times. Now, remember your rule for multiplying decimals. It says you multiply as if the decimal were not even there. Then you count your decimal places to see how many places there will be in our answer. So if we just multiply like the decimal isn't even there, we can say 3 times 3 gives us 9, and then 9 times 3 gives us 27. So we get 27. Now we need to put our decimal in. This one has one place, and one place. So if you combine all those together, our answer should have 3 decimal places. So we'll count 1, 2, 3 and put our decimal point here. And our answer would be 27 thousandths. Now you might want to write it with the 0 in front to say that you don't have any whole numbers and you have 27 thousandths. Let's raise another number to a power. Let's raise 11.6 to the second power, or we can say we're going to square 11 6/10. So again, this means we want to use our base 11 6/10 as a factor 2 times. So we'll write 11.6 down as a factor 2 times. Now this is not something that we know the answer to. In other words, what we're really thinking about is what 1/16 times 1/16 is, but we don't know that, so we're going to have to work it out. So let's go to the side and put 11.6 multiplied by 11.6. 6 times 6 gives us 36. Carry our 3. 6 and 3 is 9. 6 times 1 is 6. Then we've got to multiply by 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Then we've got to multiply by another 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 1 is 1. So when we find the sum of these products, we'd have 6, 15, carry our 1, 7, 8, 14, carry our 1, 3, 1. And that's our answer without the decimal place. And since this one has 1 decimal place and this one has 1 decimal place, our answer should have 2 decimal places. So if we count over here and put in our 2 decimal places. So if I want to write my answer over here, I have 134.56, or 134 56/100ths. Now let's look at one more example. This is 9.2145 raised to the 0 power, or 9 and 2,145 10,000ths raised to the 0 power. Well, we're not going to do very much in this course with raising to the 0 power, but you might run across it a couple of times in homework problems. So I did want us to review it again. When you raise something to the 0 power, you're actually not using your base as a factor. You're following the rule that it says anything, any number raised to the 0 power always will be 1, as long as that's some non-zero number. So whatever is raised to the 0 power, no matter how little or how big, it's going to be 1. So this 9.2145 raised to the 0 power will just be 1. There's no work to do. We just write down our answer as 1. I'd like for you to do some practice problems where you're raising to powers. Number 1, 0.2 raised to the 4th power. Number 2, 1.5 raised to the 3rd power. Copy the problems down. Once you get them copied, stop the tape and work them. Then cut the tape back on to check your answers. The practice problem answers. Number 1 is 0.0016 or 16 ten-thousandths. Number 2 is 3.375 or 3 and 375 thousandths. If your answers disagree with one of these, stop the tape and find some help. Now we want to work some problems that have several operations in the same problem, maybe exponents and parentheses. So to do this, we need to review our rule for the order of operations. Hopefully by now you've all learned this rule, so it's just old hat for you, but I would like for us to write down the parts of the rule again. As you know, the first thing you always do when you begin a problem with several operations and exponents and parentheses in it, you always work inside your symbols of inclusion. So that's your first step. Work within symbols of inclusion. And as you know, the symbols of inclusion are things like parentheses, brackets, and braces. And you work from the inside out. Once you finish working with your parentheses, then your next step is to evaluate your exponents. So that's step 2, to evaluate exponents. After we evaluate exponents, then we multiply and divide from left to right. Remember, multiplication and division are equal. It's just whichever one comes first. You go from left to right. And then finally, our 4th step is to add and subtract from left to right.